Larry Fink, right, head of the largest asset manager in the world, basically saying that Bitcoin was a good place to protect your assets from devaluation of the currency. I mean, literally, like your head explodes when one of those powerful people in our business go ahead and says, this is a big deal, right?
Hedge fund manager Mark Yusko believes that you have until April 2024 until the Bitcoin price starts to go parabolic. Why April 2024? Because that's when the Bitcoin halving is scheduled to take place. In his latest interview, Mark Yusko broke down his arguments as to why he believes we are in crypto summer, which is characterized by a slow grind upwards in terms of price. He believes this will take place until the Bitcoin halving, in which he thinks the price of Bitcoin will be closer to $55,000. Following this, he believes we see the parabolic move upwards. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Yusko makes the argument for a $250,000 Bitcoin price and then an insane $1 million Bitcoin price. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I send out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 3,000 others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now, here's Mark Yusko and his Bitcoin prediction.
For 245 of the 247 years of the US Republic, we created half the money. And then in 2 years, we created the second half of the money. We literally, out of thin air, created half of all the money that's ever been created. And I don't believe that was unintentional. I believe it was absolutely intentional. It's the only way out. When you're an empire and you become overly indebted, you have 4 choices. You can pay back. Can't do that. Even if you taxed all the wealth, forget income, taxed all the wealth, you can't pay back the debt. You can restructure it, but someone's got to take the other side. No one's going to take a worse deal. You can default on it. Whoa, can't do that because then you get kicked out of office. You devalue it, deflate it, or inflate it.
Is that inflate? So that is inflation. So why do you?
Well, but see, again, no, it's semantics. To me, devaluation is different than inflation. Inflation is when prices rise because demand exceeds them. If there are 1,000 cars and there's demand for 1,200 cars, the price will rise. That to me is inflation, okay? If I print $1 million and I devalue the currency by 50%, to me that's currency devaluation. Now,
but you create a lot of demand because there's more money.
Yeah, one could argue it's the same, it's the distinction without a difference. And that's fine. And again, I've been debating this with Mike for the last year, saying this spike in inflation is gone. By the end of this year, we'll be back to deflation. There will be no talk of inflation. We've already seen it with the commodities, and now we're going to see it in services. And then the sticky part is the owner's equivalent rent, which is a dumb thing. The rent you charge yourself to rent your house from yourself, which you
super lagging, yeah.
Just a total. So I just don't believe there's ever been any inflation because there was a step function change in global supply and demand by this authoritarian lockdown.
Yes, and in places like China, where there were very rigid lockdowns and no fiscal stimulus, there wasn't a huge demand boom. But in America, where there was a lot of fiscal stimulus, and we have this very consumer culture, everyone's ordering stuff on Amazon, and no one's working, or very few people working. Suddenly, there's not enough stuff. So there's the supply. Now then we started hearing about supply chain issues. Now everyone wants to ship. Oh, so shipping rates explode higher, and then everyone overorders in 2022. Now there's too much stuff.
Yeah. Look, and here's the one thing. I used to be in the camp that recession. We're in recession. We're going to be in a recession. This last trip, no way.
Yeah.
There's no global recession. Planes were full. Hotels were full. Restaurants were full. Prices were high. People were well-dressed. Everybody was happy. So I'm basically of the belief that we are in kind of this Goldilocks world where they're devaluing the currency at a rate, it's like boiling the frog, right? If you do it too fast, the whole experiment, you kill the frog. If you don't do it fast enough, the frog jumps out. So they actually are doing it at the right speed. I think what's interesting now is Bitcoin is, I believe, in crypto summer, right? I think crypto summer started June 15th. Now, how bizarre, and I don't think anyone was paying attention to me, so that's not my point, but I thought it was bizarre. A few months ago, I said June 15th was the equinox. That's the day that BlackRock announces their ETF. I mean, that's just total happenstance. But I just thought it was total. And that is literally the low in this, because there was a correction that was going on after the big rally from November. And that was the low. And so now we're in this, and summer is not parabolic, right? That's fall. So they're the four seasons.
Grind higher. You think grind higher.
Yeah, and so we grind higher. So we have higher lows and higher highs, and we head towards fair value. We've had Tim Peterson on the show, and Tim's awesome, and he has this Metcalfe's Law model. And, at the trough in the bear market, last year, the fair value of Bitcoin got pretty low. It got down into the mid-20s. Today, same model saying we're back in the 50s. And so I think we grind toward 50 by the halving, then we go parabolic. But the caveat is there's not as much leverage this time. So I don't, last time the fair value was 20, we got to 60, 3 times. That probably isn't going to happen this time. This time, if fair value is 50, could we get 3 times above that? I don't think so. Could we get 2 times? Sure. And then you drop back to fair value and probably go below fair value in the next crypto winter. But here's the thing that I think is interesting. If you look at all the halving, we basically 10x, and this fits the Metcalfe's Law curve, the total market cap, basically at a 0. So from 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, this will be 100,000, and then the next one in 2028 is 1 million. But I'd come back to $1 million coin is roughly 10 trillion of market cap. And that to me is not unfeasible. Now, the 250 number, the 500 number is the number I'm very comfortable with because that is the monetary value of, I have this wrong. 500,000 is 10 trillion, and to be 20 trillion. 20 trillion is a big number. 10 trillion is the value of gold, give or take, above ground. Some say it's 11, but let's just round it to 10. That doesn't count because half of it is chalices and jewelry. But the monetary, that's the base layer of money in all the central banks around the world, that's 5 trillion. Bitcoin's going to take that. I mean, I'm as certain of that as I am that the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
That's from gold, so gold goes down in value?
No, that's tougher for me. I do think the central banks move, but I don't know that they sell the gold. I don't know. I think maybe what happens is they devalue their currency, so they print the fiat to buy the Bitcoin to go with the gold. So you have both, but I could make the case that gold does go down. I could, but Peter Schiff would be mad at me, and I don't know. But I think if what I believe, which is money, it's only one money in the world, and money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability, and everything builds on top of that. So we have Fedwire, ACH, Visa, MasterCard. The debt system sits on top of the money system. If gold gets displaced physically or spiritually by Bitcoin, and Bitcoin takes that $5 trillion layer, and then we build Lightning and L3 and L4 and stuff on top of that. That's the digital future. And in Snow Crash, they have this, right? There is no physical money. It's all digital and it's all in the metaverse. And the crazy part is they talk about goggling. And when they describe the goggles, it's the Apple thing that just got announced.
Oh, yeah?
The same thing, like the way they describe how it looks and how you can make it clear or make it go fully in. So you're in the, it's like, holy shit, this is bizarre. And then it's little stuff like the protagonist of the story, his name is Hero. And we have the Hero wallet for ordinals. And there's a whole bunch of words like that have found their way into the crypto ecosystem. And this book was written a long time ago. So it's all just very interesting. You got a nod to the Knights Templar and a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's a great book. But my point there is, how do you get to the $1 million number? Well, we migrate from just the base layer to the replacement of the debt system money in a reverse Gresham's law way. And you should interview Murray Stahl because Murray articulates this better than I do. And it's funny. I would say Murray makes me look bear.
Really? Wow.
Oh my God. Look, I'm a bullish guy, right? And I love Bitcoin. You got my sign. I mean, I love it. He makes me seem bearish because he's like, Mark, 86 trillion global monetary system is all going to be all of it. And here's why. And he lays it out and look, he's even older than me. And it's not that old is better. It's just, we actually have some knowledge and some wisdom, hopefully.
Yeah. And he's, by the way, a very in-depth researcher on all sorts of things in finance, as a very well-accomplished investment firm.
Mad genius.
And I knew he was like Bitcoin open. I didn't know that he was such even more bullish than you.
He's one of the largest miners in the country. He has a mining fund that he raised like 10 years ago, long before anybody else. What I love, he did this is amazing. In the last bear market, he bought all the machines from defunct miners.
I remember reading those articles about how that was a bitter case for NVIDIA, that the crypto miners don't want to buy the rigs.
and he pieced them out. He broke them up into pieces, and now he uses those pieces to keep his machines at a higher on percentage. I mean, the guy's a magic, but he also has crypto fund, Bitcoin fund. He invests in things like MicroStrategy. So he's a value, right? This is a guy who built a $6 billion asset management firm around value. And he, like Bill Miller, and it's interesting. There's this group of us, I call us the OMGs, right? The old macro guys. And it's, Burbank and Moorhead and Novo and these guys, Murray and there's a handful, and Bill Miller. Most of those guys are way more successful than I'll ever be, but that's not the point. We're old, and we came around, right? We were shown this idea, and most of us were skeptical. Not all of us. Dan was less skeptical, cost me money, but I was skeptical. But when you did the work, like Bill says, he did even just a little analysis. He's like, oh my God, this is Amazon. And most people don't know this. There are only 5 people in the world that bought the Amazon IPO on the day 27 years ago and still hold it. Jeff, mom, dad, ex-wife, and Bill Miller. Bill Miller's cost of Amazon shares, I love this, is 7 cents. That's his cost. And he's never sold a share. And he's never sold any of his Bitcoin that he's accumulated. And his son is partly responsible. Bill the fourth is definitely all in. But old Bill, like me, he's there because he views value the way Murray does, which is value isn't just low price to book and low PE. Value is the current price lower than the future wealth and value that's created by the business or the entity or the asset, right? Why is the dollar value? There's no backing. There's no gold behind it, no silver behind it, no full faith and credit. No, you don't get tax revenues. You get nothing. It only has value because you and I have belief in custom that if I give you a green piece of paper or a bunch of ones and zeros in your bank account, that you can use it to acquire some good or service. And it's, Paul Romer won the Nobel Prize for this 4 or 5 years ago. It's called the law of increasing returns. And it says that the winning technology is not the best technology. It's the technology that gets critical mass first. And we got lots of examples from Betamax and VHS to any number of, social media and things like that. It's not that Facebook was necessarily better than MySpace. Arguably, MySpace had some features that were better, but Facebook went viral because they had genius.
The system does not maximize for enjoyment or what is the best experience. It's what's the most viral,
Yeah, what's the most viral. And the more people that use a certain asset, and that's why the miracle, and I said this, I think I wrote a piece on who is Satoshi Nakamoto in 2016 or 17. And I did a bunch of research, and my favorite one was if you Google Satoshi Nakamoto, one of the things that comes up is Intelligence Central, because Nakamoto is the surname of people from the central provinces of Japan, and Satoshi means intelligence. And I'm like, holy crap, that's way close to CIA. So I went down that rabbit hole, and to the point, I talked to Scott Stornetta, who is the guy who's cited 3 times in the footnotes. He invented SHA-256 with his partner. He's the father of blockchain, and they're a venture partner of ours. And I said, Scott, I worry about this. What do you think? Could there be a back door? Like if I were a failing state, I would create something to get everybody to exchange money for this new thing, and then I would steal it all at the back door. And he thought, no. What do you mean, no? How did you do it that fast? He says, well, I see your point, and it's a good idea, but it's impossible. Blockchain is arrogant. And you're just like, okay. And if you're telling me it's not, he says, now Ethereum, that could happen, but Bitcoin can't happen. And so, but my point there is that Satoshi came along and created this thing that solved the double spend. And in so doing, and Eric Schmidt said, and Eric knows a thing or two about tech, right? Former CEO of Google. He said, Satoshi's creation of Bitcoin is big, but what's really big is the ability to create a unique asset in the digital space. A lot of companies will be built on, and that is a very profound statement. And I believe everything in the world, every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every case of wine, every collectible car, every private business, every piece of everything will eventually be tokens on ledgers. And
everything will be token on ledgers, stocks, bonds, all these things are securities. So it will have to be regulated by the SEC, and that'll actually be a good thing. Yes or no?
No, regulation is not bad.
Yeah.
It just needs to be regulation for the right reasons.
So there's Mark Yusko's predictions for the future of Bitcoin, pointing to the upcoming halving in April 2024 as a potential catalyst for a price surge. According to Yusko, we are currently in what he calls crypto summer, characterized by a slow and steady upward price movement leading to a likely parabolic climb after the Bitcoin halving event. His forecasts include a significant milestone of $55,000 before the halving, followed by a potential leap to an astounding $1 million per Bitcoin in the long run. These predictions provide food for thought for every crypto investor. While exciting, it's crucial to remember that investing in cryptocurrency or any other asset class comes with its risk and uncertainties. Always conduct your due diligence and consult a trusted financial advisor before making any significant investment decisions. Remember, if you want to stay up to date with all things crypto, don't forget to sign up for our daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. We cover expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, breaking news, and much more. Simply click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 3,000 fellow crypto enthusiasts on this exciting journey. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.